Welcome to Founder Tactics, a podcast about entrepreneurs and the communities that shape them. I am your host, Julia Lucidi. My guest today is Priya Burkett, founder of On Point Beauty Hair Care. She is a first-generation Indian American and now has a multicultural family that inspired her to integrate both Ayurvedic and Black hair care ingredients to introduce a new line of products to the market. Ayurveda is a natural system of medicine that originated in India over 3,000 years ago and continues to be an integral part of Indian culture and homes. In our conversation, we dove into Priya's transition from the corporate world into her career as an entrepreneur, serving a health-conscious, multicultural consumer market, starting with her local community in Denver to reaching mass retail. Stay tuned to hear all about it and get ready to learn a lot about business and natural hair care. And before we get started, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you'd like to support the podcast, don't forget to subscribe and rate on the platform which you're listening to now. Let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Priya Burkett. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I'm really excited for all the awesome things we're going to talk about.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be a part of your podcast. And this is pretty exciting for me to share my story with you.
Yeah, so I think it's cool to share with our audience how we met. So I mentor on a program that Target organizes for founders called Target for Founders. What's it called again? Target Accelerator Program.
Yes.
And Priya was one of the founders that I got a chance to mentor. And I was so excited about our call and our conversation and her story and what she has developed in her business that I really wanted to have this conversation be a part of our community on the podcast. So thank you for jumping on board to have this conversation and just share your story. I'm really, really excited to dive into it. So I think a good place for us to start is just tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that for me, at least, entrepreneurship feels like life before and after entrepreneurship. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and life before entrepreneurship.
Sure. I am a first-generation American. I was born in Washington, D.C. My parents came to America from India, and after I was born in D.C., I was sent back to Hyderabad, India to be raised by my grandmother. I moved back to the States at age 6 and went to school here. And my parents had a tumultuous relationship. They got divorced. I went to George Washington University in DC, moved to New York City, worked on Wall Street, and had many different roles in corporate. Moved to Denver after getting engaged to my now husband, got an MBA, and now here I am, launching a hair care line.
So you've lived in a lot of different cultures, right? And I can imagine how that has shaped you as a person and prepared you in a lot of ways to be where you are today. Do you feel like that has impacted a lot of your, what you're pursuing right now?
Absolutely. I truly believe that we all have our experiences that shape us to be who we are today. And as a result of my upbringing and an Indian heritage and growing up in America, having experience living in India, it definitely has given me the wisdom to make the decisions that I make today as a result.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And hair is kind of a big deal in India too, right?
It is. I mean, from the time that you're born, they talk about your hair and scalp health. It's amazing.
Wow. Tell me a little bit more about that. I'm super curious because I really don't feel like at least American culture is like that, right? So American culture, at least while I was growing up, was all about straight hair, straightening your hair, making it look as uniform as possible. And as someone who has naturally curly hair, it was very much so against the grain of what my natural hair was. And, it just kind of felt like a clash to American culture. So it's just interesting to hear from you a little bit how is hair a part of Indian culture and how does that manifest in day to day or even your relationship with maybe your mom, your grandparents? etc.?
I think a lot of Indian households would attest that from a young age, you were raised where oiling your scalp and your hair was a part of your day, or your week, I should say, where your mother or grandmother, aunt, sibling would massage your scalp and your hair, and you would sleep in that overnight and then shampoo your hair the next day. And it was about, I don't know, it was a part of your weekly routine. And it stems from Ayurveda, which is like a natural system of medicine that originated in India more than 3,000 years ago. The term Ayurveda is derived from a Sanskrit word. Ayur means life and Veda means science or knowledge. And so it translates into knowledge of life, quite literally.
Wow.
And based on that idea that disease is due to an imbalance or stress in a person's consciousness. So, what I grew up with was having that type of, I don't know, tradition, that weekly kind of routine when I was young has translated into making time for self care. And like, that's something that I think about more now because I've lost sight of that, because life happens. And now I'm kind of revisiting that whole system of Ayurveda.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What's the purpose of oiling your scalp?
Yeah, there's a lot, and I don't have like the technical, there's like it can be a little bit more technical than what I am going to say, but it's almost like it's twofold. One is to wash out any buildup, oil, grease, things like that. And to also put nutrients back in your hair. And when you have good roots, and have a solid foundation for scalp health, then your hair is strong, you have nutrients, and your hair is less likely to fall out, and it stimulates hair growth. The second thing that I'm not as familiar with is it's almost like there could be negativity and stress that kind of builds up on your scalp, and it's a way of washing that out. And I want to say it's called dosha, but again, don't quote me on that. This is just something that I've learned about over the years that I'm not an expert on.
Yeah, no, that's really, really interesting. And I love it how there's a movement in Indian culture of rest and recovery and self-care. That's definitely something that within my own business, since you get to set your own values, you're in your own culture, having your own business, that's something that I really prioritize, is incorporating more of that mindset of rest and really enjoyment of life also. Tell me a little bit more about how you started your business. What brought you to that turning point? You had a very successful corporate career up to then. What turned the key for you?
Basically, in 2018, I lost my grandmother to colon cancer quite suddenly. And then 3 months later, my little brother lost his battle with mental illness. And that was a shock to everyone's system, including mine.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the following March, I went to India with my aunt to help close out my grandmother's things. And while I was there, I was, processing the 2 deaths that occurred within 3 months of each other. And I don't know, it was just going through this time, and and you're in India, it's quite a transformative experience anytime you're there. And one of the things that my husband has shared with me was, if there was ever a time for you to stop working in corporate, it's now. And when we were dating, I had shared with him that I wanted to be home as my kids became teenagers, because being a first generation in my family to be born in US, my parents were always working, all the time to support the family, and they were never really around. And that's okay. They were there to give me the life I have today. But, or I should say, and as a result, I wanted to do what I could do to be around for my kids during their middle school and high school years. And so everything that led up to this point, it was as if God was nudging me to step away from corporate and be home with my family. So I did that and was home, and then COVID hit. And after COVID hit, I had a good friend and stylist at the time that was no longer working in a salon due to COVID restrictions. because there were limitations on how many clients can be in a space and all that good stuff. And so she had shared that growing up in Denver, she always wanted to open a salon in Five Points, Denver, which is a historically Black neighborhood, one that I live in. And so I said, all right, let's do it. And that's how this journey started.
So you started a salon first.
I did. Yes.
Okay.
I invested in a salon. Yes.
And did you run it as well? Were you a part of the operation and were you
Yes.
part of the day-to-day of the business?
I was a part of the back end, so running the business side. I was not a stylist, and she had a lot of experience in like running a salon. So she did the day-to-day, the hiring, the overseeing of the operations, and I did like all the accounting, financials, making sure the bills were paid, all that good stuff.
Do you feel like having run a salon as a business help prepare you for that next step of launching your own product line? Or what did you learn in that process? Like, how was being in touch with the community and being a part of that business really open your eyes to the next step?
What I had learned when I was opening the salon is that even with an MBA, even with an undergraduate degree, nothing can prepare you for the steps on opening a business. The salon was off to a great start, and it was during this time when we were reviewing which products to stock and use on our clients, and we were looking at primarily BIPOC women-owned brands, that I discovered that lots of ingredients in hair care products contain, and I quote, acceptable levels of carcinogens, and didn't always address the needs of our scalp. And as you know, anything you put on your scalp goes into your bloodstream. And if you use the same products over and over again and they have traces of carcinogens, it made me wonder, how's that impacting our bodies? So that's when the idea of formulating products originated. So let's be clear, never in a million years did I ever set out to open or invest in a hair salon or think I would start a hair care line. But clearly there was a problem at hand and I wanted to see how to solve it. And that's how the idea of On Point Beauty hair care came about. And let me just take a step back and talk about the name, because the salon was based in Five Points, Denver, which is a historically Black neighborhood. That's where the word point, even though it's also like, a phrase, you look on point, and things of that nature. So that's why we liked the name On Point Beauty.
I love that. And who did you test your product on? Because there's always, bring it home, test it on the family, you try it, neighbors try it. Did you have a community to give you feedback on your product?
Yes. Fortunately, we had the clients in our salon that were always excited to be a part of this journey, So they were happy to try it. My neighbors were happy to try it. My family, my good friends. So I had a lot of feedback, almost too much feedback, because again, the type of ingredients that are in the products are good for all hair types, because if it's good ingredients, there's no such thing as it being not okay for certain hair types, if that makes sense, But there are some formulations that cater better to different types of hair. And so because our salon primarily catered to textured hair and curly hair, that's where the product formulation leaned towards.
And are you a biochemist? Do you have a background in formulating products?
I wish. What I ended up doing was I used my favorite tool, Google, and I was like, how does one, formulate a hair care line? I listened to podcasts. I looked up articles and looked at people that, went down this journey. And I found the Society of Cosmetic Chemists. And they're all certified cosmetic chemists listed with contact information and all that good stuff. And I basically reached out to the ones that I felt like I had a connection with by looking at their website and information. And I sent them my idea of integrating Ayurvedic and Black hair care ingredients and practices. So many, didn't write back to me, or some that did said I was too small, or some were like, I don't understand what that means. But there were a couple, like 2 or 3, that were interested in working with me, which I loved. And I ended up settling on one that had a background, who happened to also be a female Southeast Asian cosmetic chemist that was interested in working with us. And that's who we partnered with to formulate.
So you essentially sent a bunch of cold emails saying, hey, I have this great idea and it's to solve this issue, and just waited to see who would reply to help.
Yes, because I didn't want to just partner with anyone. Obviously, I wanted somebody to be certified. I wanted them to have a background in what we were trying to do, to have that expertise that I did not have, and believed in our mission. And so that's how that started.
And how was the process of developing that formula, being that it's like a pretty foreign topic to a degree, right? Of how to put together a shampoo, how to put together a conditioner, a leave-in conditioner, oil for scalp. I mean, these are all products obviously that we have contact with every single day, but to sit there and think about what needs to be formulated into this, how involved did you get in that process?
I got pretty involved because, again, I was doing the back end things in the salon. So I had time on my hands to like research, and I would go shop through Target and Ulta and Sephora and look at their ingredients, take pictures of the ingredients, see what was doing well, who it was targeted to, all that good stuff. Started Googling ingredients, reading all the technical information about them. And what the first step you do when you work with a cosmetic chemist is you tell them like what your objectives are, what kind of results you're looking for. And then you send them your favorites on what you believe is achieving that result. But for whatever reason, like the ingredients, the texture, things of that nature, what you don't like and what you want different. So that was the first step. So we did all of that. And then they take it from there and they say, here are the common ingredients across these products. Here are the ingredients that are going to achieve your desired results. And here are some opportunities to substitute some ingredients for better ingredients. And then you also have to think about formulation, meaning how do you keep the consistency together so where the oils don't separate from the rest of the product, or that it doesn't turn color in the sun, or if it gets too heated in the shower, it doesn't congeal. All of these things. And I was like, whoa, this is very complicated. So those are all the learnings that I have gone through working hand in hand with her.
It's interesting because I used to chemically straighten my hair and iron it, flat iron it. I used to put a ton of heat. And over COVID, I discovered the Curly Girl method, which is a methodology. It's not a product. It's a methodology of how to care for curly hair and how to recover the natural structure of curl patterns into damaged hair, right? How to really unearth that natural hair. And as I started reading about the Curly Girl method, what really hooked me was I saw one of my friends before and after picture, and she told me her hair was all fried and really damaged. And then a couple of months or a year or so later, her hair was like these perfect coils. And I just was like in shock that her hair could change so much. And I thought to myself, man, if that's possible, imagine what I can do to recover my hair. And so I started deeply studying into it. I committed to not straightening my hair, not blow drying it, which was really tough. I wore it up a lot. And I started learning about the effects of drying alcohols, silicones, and parabens on hair, which essentially whenever and you may already know this, I'm sharing it more for the listeners, but whenever like a regular shampoo and a regular conditioner off the shelf, the shampoo is going to have like very, very, very stripping properties, like almost like paint thinner. Like it is completely stripping away all of the essential oils from your scalp, any protection that your hair has naturally on the hair cuticle. And then the conditioner is very, very heavily charged with parabens and silicones. And that's because after you completely dry out your hair and clean it with normal shampoo, quote unquote normal shampoo, you have to cover up those gaping holes that you leave behind and make it look shiny. And so whenever we put that regular conditioner in our hair, it creates this coat over our hair cuticle, making it seem shiny and soft, but on the inside it's brittle and dry and completely damaged. And I think it's more evident for people who have curly hair because our curl pattern gets really weird when our hair is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started eliminating all of those products from my hair care lines. And it's stuff that I could find at the drugstore. And I started to really see a massive, massive difference in my hair. And so this methodology called the Curly Girl Method, they have a website, isitcg.com, isitcurlygirl.com. And the super cool thing is that I put all of your products on the website to check every single one. And all of them except for one were approved. So the website will review it and say, is it approved for the Curly Girl Method? And so the shampoo, the conditioner, the oils, all the products with the exception, I think, of the leave-in, because you had mentioned that the leave-in has a specific quality to the product that it needs a little bit of silicone. And I was hoping you could share a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So, yes, I love the curly girl method. The idea is that curly hair is naturally dry and doesn't need harsh cleansing agents to get clean, especially if you have coarse, thick, or coily hair. And so I love that you have embraced your natural hair. That makes me so happy. Um,
They're
and
there.
this
I know my hair's up, but they're there.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I can see it. I love, love, love. So, as far as the leave-in conditioner, yes, that has less than 1% of a specific ingredient that helps to manage frizz and curls without weighing it down. And it's helpful for damaged or textured hair. And it's known to improve wet and dry combing properties, and reduce static, and that kind of thing. So, basically, one of the reasons it has that is because the people that we serviced in the salon were about 99% Black and brown women. And many of them would come in to get weaves and extensions and things of that nature. And so, as a result, for their hair to get braided before they had a sew-in or anything like that, they needed something to help reduce that static and coat the hair shaft to smooth if they had any damaged hair, that kind of thing. So that is why that leave-in conditioner has less than 1%. However, I just have to say that as a result, I'm already tweaking the product.
From our conversation.
Yes, and already have my amazing cosmetic chemist working on another iteration of it. So when that comes out, I would love for you to try it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try all of your products. I'm super excited. I've never seen like a full line of products that like essentially like 99% of them are completely Curly Girl Method approved. But of course there's also like flexibility within the Curly Girl Method of having a little bit of silicone or having a little bit of alcohols in the product. So I personally don't see it as a big deal. I think it's wonderful that you have these products that are so clean. And really, I just wanted to share a little bit more about what's behind curly hair care for people to understand, like, why is On Point Beauty hair care so different? Like, okay, so it's clean. Unfortunately, everybody uses these marketing terms to say how great their shampoo and conditioner, right? Regardless of the brand, they're saying it's great for your hair. But the truth is, not all shampoo, conditioners, leave-in, and treatments are made equal. And it's specifically these clean products that are making a really big difference on hair. So I'm very excited to try your products, and I'm just from having looked at the ingredient list and everything, I feel really confident that they're fantastic.
Thank you. And one of the mission for On Point Beauty, it was founded to address the health conscious, multicultural consumer market, right? That I feel like is a description of me and my family. You know, we want to make more health conscious decisions. We are a multicultural family, and I wanted something that was easy to use and was going to help illuminate natural beauty. Because although I love like looking nice and doing the things I need to do, but also, you know, I don't feel obligated to have to like always put on makeup or blow dry my hair. I want to use some products that I can wash, spray in some leave-in and go and let it air dry and feel good about myself.
And it's so liberating to embrace natural beauty. Like when I used to straighten my hair all the time, I would cringe when I would walk outside and it was humid. But now that I have totally taken on my curly hair, I barely notice the humidity. It doesn't bother me. If anything, it makes my curls look better, bouncier. And so it's just very liberating to embrace that and know that there are products and companies out there to help you reach that. And it is a process, right? Like if you've been, flat ironing your hair for 10 years, doing chemical processes, it's not going to be like the first wash. And I think it's important that people also understand that it's a process. It took me about a year and a half for me to really recover that curl pattern, but it is in using products like yours.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, I don't have curly hair. I have more straight Indian hair, but my family and friends have curly textured hair, specifically my 3 mixed race kids who are Black and Indian, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I was really striving for is for them to love their God-given hair, skin, and features. And the purpose to empower self-love and acceptance of our natural beauty. And of course, I don't have all the answers, but I want to be a part of that answer. And so every decision I make regarding On Point Beauty is related to that in mind.
What a tremendous example for your children to be able to, really be working so hard to provide products that serve them. I mean, that's like a really incredible memory and experience alone that you're offering them. Don't you think so?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. I think everybody, like moms and aunts and family members, try really hard to set a positive example, a healthy example. And one thing that I found very interesting is that there has been a phenomenal switch towards natural beauty and the embracing of natural features in mainstream media. Not only in commercials and shows, but other examples. And I think I already mentioned social media, but on Instagram Reels and things like that. I love that people are talking more about accepting who they are and, finding freedom in their diversity.
To me, it's a really big indicator that this market is only going to grow. So I'm excited for what your growth can look like in the coming years. Tell us a little bit about what your growth has looked like so far. How has the, your sales been going and the volume? What are you hoping for the growth in the years to come?
The growth was initially in the salon and boutique stores that we sold into locally. That was going really well. And then when we launched our online, direct-to-consumer store via our website, it started growing exponentially because I think the word got out, which was amazing. Not only through our clients, but then they would share with their friends and so on and so forth. And then we got a call from Walmart. And when they called, I was definitely taken aback because they called on my cell phone and they were interested in me selling on their online site. And they shared with me that there is a white space in the market for Ayurvedic hair care products. And they felt like our products can help fill that space. And so that's how we got in, and they made it easy and they walked me through the steps. And here I am on Walmart, and that's been pretty phenomenal.
Like a dream come true, an answered prayer, blessing that drops from the sky. Like Walmart calls you and says, hey, we want you to sell on our website that reaches billions of people every year.
Yes. And, I've realized that I don't want this brand to be everything to everyone, right? I want to be a brand that builds a foundation for healthy hair and scalp. And I want to be a health conscious brand and to promote healthy messages to consumers that celebrate diverse beauty. And like I mentioned, to move forward in a multicultural society. So that sounds like so much, but I feel like there's not enough out there that show brown faces and textured hair And I believe that consumers are being selective on what they're purchasing because they want long-term benefits and they want to streamline their routines for optimum efficiency. As I may have mentioned, I have 3 teenagers. I have 2 daughters and a son, and my 2 daughters, 14 and 19, when they go into a Sephora and Ulta, they specifically inquire on which brands are brown, BIPOC women founded.
Yeah, especially for skincare, makeup, hair, it's a completely different world. So if somebody who doesn't have that skin color, the hair texture, how are they going to fully be able to serve you? They're searching for, hey, who speaks the same language as me? Who understands what I need for my skin, the nutrients for my skin, for my hair? So that's incredible that they're already having that awareness. And even though it's exciting to hear that there's a big opportunity in the market for this, you still have challenges as a business to grow from a small business to hopefully a very large business. And you're currently participating in the Target Accelerator program, which is specifically focused on helping small businesses prepare to sell on Target shelves. Can you tell us a little bit more, like, what is that program all about? What has it been about for you, and how has your experience been?
Yes. So the Target Accelerator program is phenomenal. I cannot speak highly enough about it. I am in the Forward Founders program within the Accelerator overarching program. And so there were over 5,000 applicants and 30 were chosen. There are 7 beauty brands. I'm one of them. There are also brands that come from like baby and toddler, food and beverage, home brands, things of that nature. And they basically want to, just like the term says, accelerate you in your learning of how to get into mass retail. They give you mentors, access to Mintel, which is a market research database. They train you how to use it. They give you other kinds of data that you can sift through to see who your competitors are, their pricing strategy, their marketing, the reasons behind their marketing, and then upcoming trends. It's phenomenal. And then when you meet with the mentors, such as yourself, which I love that I met you through this program, you can ask them anything. And then they are able to also provide their expertise. This time with those individuals can cost thousands and thousands of dollars, even access to the data that they provide to you, but it's all part of the program. So I cannot speak highly enough about it.
Congratulations on being selected among such a large number of applicants. And I'll tell you from the mentor perspective, it's equally as rewarding for us because even though I come to the table with my own experience, being able to contribute advice on a specific point of view, be it community building or some part of your business, I also get a chance to learn with you about what's relevant in the market, what's growing, and what your journey as a founder was like, and what helped contribute to your success. So every single time I get a chance to talk to a founder and help them with their business, I'm learning just as much with them. So it's really a win-win from my point of view.
I love that.
And do you feel like your past corporate experience prepared you to leading your own business? And if so, how?
Absolutely. I don't think I would have appreciated this time starting this entrepreneurial journey without that corporate experience. One of the things that I love is just having the freedom of managing my time. And one of the biggest things from my corporate experience that I can bring into this is reviewing and understanding financials. That's key. It just sounds cliche, but understanding data, understanding financials to make sound decisions, and knowing when to continue and when to stop are key. So that's been really good.
And a lot of founders say that freedom is one of the biggest perks of entrepreneurship per se, but there's also a lot of challenges, right? There's a high cost to it, but we tend to be people who are very adventurous, very driven, self-motivated, I think is a really important aspect of being an entrepreneur. What do you feel like today is challenging you professionally as a founder?
It's just me. it's my list. I got to get it done, So that is a challenge. You're right. It is a lot of like self-motivation, and there are days that I'm like revved up, ready, make this happen, let's get this done. And then there are days that I'm like, I could totally watch, like a show right now just to like unwind for a
Same.
minute, because it is nonstop. You don't have holidays, you don't have weekends, you don't have evenings. If there's something on your to-do list, you'll do it any kind of chance you get because you're excited, motivated, and inspired to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I have had to learn is to work smarter. I think we all have that as an ultimate goal, but like using AI and other tools and apps that I would not have had the opportunity to use otherwise, because from my experience in my corporate environments, my creativity wasn't harnessed, right? You have to go through so many layers to like get a decision at times or get something done. Lots of socialization. But here it's like, okay, I think that's a good idea. Let me give it a try. And then I have to work towards implementing that. So you're right. Like, I have to be very resourceful, and I have to create a community that understands my challenges. Because if you work with people that don't have that mindset of needing to solve that problem and that sense of urgency, then it's just kind of, you procrastinate. And it's almost like, as an entrepreneur, you don't really have a cushion, meaning if you don't get the work done, you don't get paid, right? You don't get revenue in the door. You can't grow your business. So I know that sounds like a lot, but as you can tell, it's like all over the place.
No, it makes
That's what
sense.
it is. Yeah.
Do you have like a community of founders or maybe friends or mentors that you reach out to in those moments where you really need to exchange an idea or have help with something you don't know how to do?
I should say yes and no. So, yes, in the sense of programs like the Target Accelerator program, that cohort's amazing. Now that we've gotten to know each other, it's been great to reach out to each other. And then even the community that I'm building within the city that I live in, right? If there are certain things that I'm working towards, I'm happy that I can like call upon somebody and get their thoughts. And then fortunately, I use LinkedIn quite a bit. And so I'll even send questions to people I feel like are in my space and kind of get their feedback. And most people are very happy to reach back out and respond and provide insights.
So you proactively go out of your way to network and try to connect with people who can be complementary to what you're doing today. Is that what you do?
Yes, absolutely. And like there's the Women's Chamber of Commerce here in Colorado, which is super amazing. And there are other like, women's groups. And I'm not, and of course I can ask men or women, but it's nice to have that women perspective because the challenges that I face in the market are different than, let's say, a man, right? On getting my foot in the door to certain opportunities. And so I've learned that being in corporate, and I've learned that being an entrepreneur. It is harder.
Yeah. What's kind of the big next thing for your business? What are you hoping to accomplish within the next, let's say, 6 months, a year or two?
I have been really thinking a lot about that, and it continues to evolve, especially as I go through the accelerator program. Ultimately, my biggest thing right now is growth, brand awareness, and growth. I want to increase my revenue and ultimately be in a position where I can be on Target shelves. But I have learned now that that's not necessarily everybody's goals. It can be logistically challenging to be in mass retail on
Mm-hmm.
shelves. And so like from having a distributor to shipping to being on track of the velocity of how quickly your products turn over. So I got to be careful on what I ask for, if that makes sense. I don't want to get there too fast. I want to get there when I need to get there. But first, I want to like slowly scale. And I want to scale with making sure that I keep my intention and priority also on my family that are their last few years of high school, going on to college. I don't want to be so consumed with this growth stage that I am sacrificing the one thing I really didn't want to sacrifice, which is having that time with family.
Yeah. And that was a lot of the motivation that you had when you started your business. So I think that's a beautiful priority to have and to be able to treasure. Do you have any advice, perhaps for somebody who is in a corporate role like you were and is starting to question if that still makes sense for them being in a corporate position and is thinking about maybe what passion they could start pursuing and turn into a business? Do you have any advice for people who might be on the fence but are really unsettled just staying where they are?
I do. I mean, I think everybody has to weigh those pros and cons. And for me, the way I came about it, as I shared, it was something that I could never have planned to have happened. And one of the things as I continue to mature is life is short. And I know, again, that's cliche, but like, if we're going to go for it, this is the time. And that doesn't mean you have to stop working in corporate to go towards that passion. It means how can you intentionally carve out time in your day, in your week, or be a part of an organization that can motivate, inspire, and help that journey to start devoting some time towards building that passion.
Has it been worth it for you?
It has. I am so thankful for this journey because we did end up closing the salon in September 2023, and I am focused on the hair products. And one of the things I've learned is that everything that I am doing, it's not just for me, but it's for like the people that I love as well, right? And so that is pretty rewarding.
And how can people buy your product?
Thank you for asking.
I need to buy it as soon as I get off the call.
So you can find our products on our website. It's shoponpointbeauty.com. You can also find it on Walmart online. And who knows, maybe in a couple years in Target.
Yeah. And how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach out to me through my website. There's a form over there, and happy to share what I've learned and any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you so much. This has been really lovely. I've loved talking about hair and entrepreneurship with you. I could do this for a long time.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. I am thankful for being on my first podcast with you. So it's so great that our paths crossed.
Absolutely. You did amazing. And thanks to everybody who's listening. We'll see you all soon. And that wraps up episode 4 of Founder Tactics. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Founder Tactics, or you can also reach out to us on our website, foundertactics.com. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. See you soon.